What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Layne's Man Cave. As you can see, I don't have any videos up. This video doesn't have a custom thumbnail. That's because I'm trying something different today. I'm trying to do something more podcast-styled. This isn't permanent, but I do have another video planned just like this, but I'll go back to normal for my other stuff. But today, I want to talk a bit about the future of this channel, because obviously I just said I got one more video just like this coming up. I also have another all-time list coming up, which I haven't made in 2 years. The very first video I made, which I'm sure nobody has even seen. I did my top 20 quarterbacks of all time, and then I think about 2 weeks later, correct me if I'm wrong, I did my top 20 running backs of all time, and to this very day, that is my most viral video, over 10,000 views. So I haven't made an all-time list in 2 years. I'm going to be making one before the end of the month, maybe into March, but shouldn't be any later than March. And then the first 2 weeks of April, I will be in Europe from April 1st to the 12th. So I won't be making any videos at that time, so I probably won't be making a WNBA mock draft this year. I should be able to do a season predictions video by then, because obviously as soon as I get home I'm going to have to get started on my mock draft immediately. And obviously May, there's not much going on. June, gotta do the NBA Finals preview and prediction, then NBA mock draft, and then the summer, that's when it gets really busy as far as making videos. Last year I started off my college football predictions in late July, but I'm not going to be doing that this year. I'm going to try to start in early July this year, because you never know when life gets in the way. Even in my NFL predictions, which I started immediately after the college predictions end, I didn't even get to make the awards or the playoffs, because probably the day after that video uploaded, my aunt passed away tragically, and my mom, she was on bereavement leave until January, and my cousin moved in for about 2 months, so I wasn't in my room very often during that time. When I'm not in my room, I'm not making videos. But now I'm back. Hopefully I'm not on a hiatus for this long ever again, because this is what I do full time now. I'm not in school. I don't have a job. Don't worry, I do have money coming in from the government, because I am autistic. So it's not like I don't have anything coming in. I'll probably go back to school someday, but I don't know when. Right now I'm at a point where I'm okay with starting work at 30 and retiring at 70. Right now, my top priority is this channel. Now, today we're going to get into the topic I wanted to talk about, and that is my top 10, or not top 10, I'm ranking all 10 coaching hires of this offseason. This is completely not completely unscripted. I do have notes. But this is unedited. And we're going to start things off at number 10. And my least favorite hire of the offseason is Todd Monken to the Browns. I do believe that Monken is significantly a downgrade from Kevin Stefanski. I get it. You want to move on. He hasn't really brought the team past the first round. Yep. Yes, he did. Yep. Yes, he did. His first year there, when they beat the Steelers. But he only has one other playoff appearance, and that was with Joe Flacco, and they got blown out by the young Texans. But still, I don't think that's not Monken, Stefanski's fault. He didn't have a lot of great quarterbacks. Baker wasn't that great with the Browns. The defense was good, but the offense was not. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is terrible. Flacco was decent. Deshaun Watson was a complete disaster. But on to Monken. Monken is an okay offensive coordinator. He's not great. That's why he's a downgrade, because he did benefit from having Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, so that alone made him look better than he actually is. Also, Monken's almost 60 years old, and with a team like the Browns, where they are now, they should have looked for someone younger than that. Or they should have went for someone defensive-minded, like Saleh or Brian Flores. Seeing how the defense is the strong suit for the Browns right now. The only strong suit right now. Monken's not the best guy if you want to develop Shedeur Sanders or whoever their quarterback's going to be next year. Could be Chambliss, could be Ty Simpson, could be Garrett Nussmeier. Or even next year, Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Sam Leavitt. Whoever the Browns quarterback ends up being, I don't think Monken's the best guy for developing them. Monken was the OC for Cleveland back in 2019. And it wasn't him calling the plays, so that's good, obviously. But that was probably Baker Mayfield's worst season as a starting quarterback. So that's not good. And if you want familiarity, you should have just promoted Jim Schwartz. And he just resigned, so this could not have been any worse for the Browns. They have Myles Garrett. He just won Defensive Player of the Year. But right now, Garrett is the textbook definition of a Lamborghini in a trailer park. He should have just requested a trade, not signed that extension. But now he's going to waste the rest of his prime in a team that's very unserious. Moving on. My number 9 hire, Mike McCarthy. I don't like this move at all. Obviously, Mike Tomlin resigned, and they're free from the chains of mediocrity. And instead, they go back to mediocrity, because McCarthy's not going to make their situation any better. They may go from 9 wins to 7 wins, but even then, that's not enough to draft a guy that's supposed to be your franchise-changing player. Tomlin is more offensive-minded than Tomlin is, but he's mid. He's a very mid head coach. He should have done a lot more with Green Bay than he did with Rodgers. And he never even made it past the second round with Dallas. Lucky for them, Arthur Smith's no longer the offensive coordinator, so that's good. But this Steelers offense, you don't even know who their quarterback's going to be next year. I know they made this hire to increase their chances of bringing back Aaron Rodgers, but before the end of the season, he seemed very set on retiring. I know it's Aaron Rodgers. You can't trust a word he says out of his mouth. But still, you don't know who the quarterback's going to be in Pittsburgh next year. It could be Cleveland. It could be a free agent. I don't think they draft a quarterback in the first round, because I don't have a first-round grade on anyone not named Mendoza this year. They could get Ty Simpson in the second round. I wouldn't be surprised. Or maybe they get a quarterback in the day free picks. Or they just roll with Will Howard. But either way, this isn't going to be a very good Steelers team next year. They're going to be very mid. But they're probably not going to be bad enough to get Arch Manning next year. And number 8, Mike LaFleur to the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think the right coordinator was hired. As a Rams fan, I'm surprised they did not end up with Chris Shula. I did not think he would still be with us, especially with so many head coach openings this year. Now, the Rams do have a good track record of offensive coordinators. Liam Cohen's doing very well in Jacksonville. Kevin O'Connell's doing great. But Michael LaFleur did not call the plays at all since he was the offensive coordinator. In fact, he hasn't called plays since he was with the Jets in 2022. And that alone's a bad sign. But the Cardinals were the last opening available. But they're also the least desirable job available. They're not going to get their quarterback this year. Kyler Murray's pretty much guaranteed to not be on the team next year. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett's going to be back or not. Like the Steelers, they don't know who their quarterback's going to be. At least the Cardinals do have weapons. Trey McBride, obviously the best tight end last year. Michael Wilson has had a very good year. Marvin Harrison Jr., and not giving up on him. Well, never. Of course I'm not giving up on him. He hasn't been bad, at all. He hasn't lived up to the first quarterback or wide receiver off the build. Or off the board, I'm sorry. But he's still a very good receiver. The tools are there. The flashes are there. He's going to put it together. But he needs that guy at quarterback. Now, number 7, number 6. I couldn't decide between these next two, so I put them together because I have similar pros and similar cons, so I put them together, and it's Joe Brady and Jeff Hafley. Now, Brady's been calling the offensive plays for the Bills since 2023, and the Bills, they've had a top 5 offense every year since, but would that be the case if Josh Allen was not on the team? Probably not, but Allen hasn't had a serious injury, so they haven't had to worry about that so far. Now what's the real concern with the Bills is their defense, because Sean McDermott's supposed to be that defensive guy, but the Bills had the worst run defense last year. But they did hire Jeff Leonard or Jim Leonard. He was the defensive passing game coordinator for the Broncos. At least I think. So they do have a younger DC now. I don't even know how old Bobby Babich was. But they get a change of scenery at DC, and they stick with familiarity for their head coaching position. The concern is on the defense. Greg Rousseau, he's a very good pass rusher, but he's not a franchise pass rusher. Matt Milano's very old. He's not the player he once was. Corners, Christian Benford, he's good, but he wasn't as good as he was in 2024. And the safeties, they really haven't been good. Now, moving on to Jeff Hafley. Mike McDaniel was not the problem. And they go from an offensive mind to a defensive mind. Same way they flipped the tables going from Flores to McDaniel. But the Packers have had good defenses with Hafley at defensive coordinator, but I don't think they were ever top 5 while he was there. And the offense is going to take a step back because McDaniel is gone. They're not going to have Tyreek Hill next year. We don't even know if Tua is going to be there next year. Oh, that's a good thing. Devon Achan's really good. Or not really good. He's a top 6 to 7 running back in the NFL. Defense is really not good. They traded Jalen Phillips. Bradley Chubb's long gone. Their secondary is burnt toast. Hopefully Jeff Hafley will change that. But I got mixed feelings about both these hires, so that's why I put them together. Now moving on to the hires I actually liked. Number 5, Kevin Stefanski. Now the Falcons, they have lots of offensive talent that was wasted under Raheem Morris. Bijan's arguably the best running back in the NFL. Drake London's a top 5 receiver when he's fully healthy. He only played 12 games, but it's damn near 1,000 yards. And Kyle Pitts is having the best year of his career. The O-line's pretty good. And there's the quarterback position, but I'm not very high on Michael Penix at all. Kirk Cousins was good when he was playing, but they're not bringing him back. That's already set in stone. And Stefanski, he has brought weaker Browns teams to the playoffs. Fortunately for them, he decided to bring back Jeff Ulbrich as the defensive coordinator. Under Ulbrich, the Falcons went from having the least amount of sacks to the second most amount of sacks. Although now the news just came out that James Pierce could face 5 years in prison. So we got another Rashee Rice situation up on our hands. Who knows if Pierce is even going to play this year. But they do have Brandon Dorless. They do got Jalen Walker, so it's not all bad in Atlanta. Like I said, Ulbricht's done. He brought this defense from very weak to very strong pass rush. And the best part, the NFC South is wide open next year. The Panthers won the NFC South, going 8-9. Obviously, the Bucks are not the top dog in the South anymore. The Panthers, I'm not sure if they'll be back or not. And the Saints, they still got a lot of work to do. Chris Olave is too injury prone. Kamara's getting older. Tyler Shuck, he had a strong finish to the year, but is he really that guy? Look, let's be real. He's 25 years old as a rookie. He's most likely not going to get any better from here, but he did exceed my expectations, but my expectations were dirt. Looking at that pass he threw in the combine, where he was completely off target, I labeled Shuck as an unplayable prospect, but obviously he's not that. So, but either way, I think this puts the Falcons in a strong position to win the NFC South in 2026. Number 4, a lot of you aren't going to like that I have this coaching hire as low as I do, but John Harbaugh. Yes, the Giants can't risk another inexperienced coach anymore, so they hired someone with playoff experience and someone who's supposed to bring a winning culture to New York. That being said, Harbaugh is a CEO head coach, so he doesn't call any plays, not on offense or on defense, and when that is the case, you have to hire the best coordinators you can, which I don't think he did. Matt Nagy was a poor choice at offensive coordinator. He was the OC of the Chiefs since 2023, but as you've seen with the Chiefs in the past 3 years, their offense has not been playing up to their standards. Obviously, those are very high standards they have to meet, but still. The Chiefs have been one of the lowest scoring teams of the past 2 years, and many of their wins, especially 2024, have gone by one score. And when you have a quarterback that's supposed to be going into year 2 like Jackson Dart, he's supposed to be your franchise guy. He had a pretty good year last year. But if you really want to take that next level, then Matt Nagy is not the guy you want at OC. Cam Scatterboo is going to be fully healthy next year. Malik Neighbors is going to be back. They'll probably get another wide receiver either in the draft or in free agency. Theo Johnson is one of the more underrated tight ends. So you got that offensive talent, but you don't have the right guy for the job. On defense, they hired Denard Wilson as their DC, who was the defensive backs coach in Baltimore. But I can't really complain about that one, because he can't be worse than Shane Bowen. Hopefully this Giants defense is a lot better than it was this year. You got arguably the best defensive player. Okay, no, not anymore. But when healthy, he is the best defensive tackle in the NFL. Dexter Lawrence. I think it was 2024. He had 9 sacks as a nose tackle. You've never heard of that before, huh? It's completely unheard of. And you got Brian Burns. He made the All-Pro. He made the Pro Bowl. And then you got Abdul Carter. You're supposed to be the next man up. You're next Lawrence Taylor. I don't think he'll be that good, but he will be one of the best pass rushers for the next 10 years at least. The stats didn't show it this year, but he got those pressures. And that's all you could ask for right now. Okay, maybe not all you could ask for. But the stats didn't show, but the tape did. Moving on to my 3 favorite hires of this year's coaching cycle. Number 3, Robert Saleh. This guy's gone through some crap these past few years. They fired him after week 5 in New York, even though he was not the problem. And if they kept him around, they probably had a shot at the playoffs. And this year with the Niners, despite all the injuries, Nick Bosa missed a chunk of the year, Fred Warner missed a chunk of the year, Mykel Williams missed a chunk of the year. But the Niners had the 11th ranked defense, despite all the injuries. There's not very many defensive minds that could do that. I was hoping for the Titans to hire a younger, more offensive-minded head coach, considering they do have Cam Ward. But they did hire Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator, the guy who kickstarted Josh Allen's breakout. That is the best possible thing you can ask for if you're Cam Ward. And you got Saleh helping out on the defensive side of the ball. He's going to get Jeffrey Simmons, one of the best tackles in the NFL. Defensive tackles, that is, obviously. Obviously, you don't hear his name very much because he's on the Titans. T'Vondre Swift, who's never really good nose tackle. And you're getting the 4th overall pick, which, as of now, I believe they will use that pick on Ruben Bain, and that is a guy that Saleh will fall in love with and turn into the Titans' defensive cornerstone. The Titans desperately need pass rush, and it doesn't get better than that, at least this year. Now, number 2, Klint Kubiak. That hire is now official now that the Super Bowl is over. Kubiak got the best out of Sam Darnold. He got the best out of the Seahawks run game. And even that terrible offensive line that kept getting Geno Smith sacked. He helped improve that. And now what do you know? He goes to Geno Smith's current team, the Raiders. And that offensive line is just as bad as he had in Seattle. The Raiders missed out on Ben Johnson last year, but they were able to get this year's top offensive mind. I don't think Kubiak's on Ben Johnson's level, obviously, but he's exactly the guy the Raiders need. Especially when you consider that Fernando Mendoza is an older quarterback prospect. He's going to be 23. Well, not in week 1 next year, but in October. He's going to be 23, so you want to get a guy that can help Mendoza be good nice and early. But best of all, Ashton Jeanty will go off next year. Kubiak loves to run the ball, and now he gets to have Ashton Jeanty, who, like Abdul Carter, the stats are a lot worse than the tape for Jeanty, because the O-line for the Raiders, it was terrible. He got tackled behind the line of scrimmage a lot, but he did have nearly 1,000 yards considering the circumstances. I think he'll go well over that next year under Kubiak and the new offensive system. Oh, not to mention, Kubiak gets Brock Bowers, who he wasn't very healthy this year, but when he is, best tight end in football. At worst, top 3. Moving, and finally, my favorite head coaching hire of the offseason, Jesse Minter to the Ravens. This is the best news you can possibly get if you're a Ravens fan. That means Zach Orr will no longer call the plays for the Ravens defense, which has fallen off a cliff after Mike McDonald was hired to the Seahawks. Jesse Minter turned the Chargers defense from one of the NFL's worst to top 10 in both years he was the offensive or defensive coordinator. The Ravens obviously needed to move on from Harbaugh because they've reached their ceiling with him at the helm. And you really need a guy who can make something out of nothing because Nnamdi Madubuike is medically retired. Nate Wiggins has yet to break out. Marlon Humphrey regressed heavily and was one of the worst corners last year. And of course you got Kyle Hamilton, the best safety in football. And your Malachi Starks, who is going into his second year but hasn't done much this year. A lot of that can be blamed on Orr. But anyways, that is the list. Jesse Minter is my favorite head coaching hire of this coaching cycle. We're probably not going to see a coaching cycle like this at least for a while. Now, before I sign off, I'll briefly go through some of the coaches I think are going to be on the hot seat next year. Todd Bowles is the first name that comes to mind. Got carried by Dave Canales, carried by Liam Cohen. He's probably going to be fired next year. Aaron Glenn's another name that comes to mind, especially if the Jets don't make some sort of improvement. He was a downgrade over Saleh. And there is one more person that has come to mind. Oh yeah, Zach Taylor. Bengals haven't done anything since they appeared in the Super Bowl. The fact that Zach Taylor is still around, it's a miracle. Anyways, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was very long. But I do have another video of this format coming up very soon. I won't spoil anything, but it should be up by tomorrow. Yes, it is tomorrow. It's midnight on Tuesday right now. So tomorrow or Thursday, you should see another video just like this in this format. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification.